Today we will be looking at the volume of prisms and cylinders. So a prism is a 3D solid with two polygon-shaped faces which are parallel and identical. Now a cylinder is a specific type of prism. It's a 3D solid with two circular faces which are parallel and identical. So kind of like a Pringles container, that is a cylinder. In order to find the volume of a prism or cylinder, you use the same formula. So volume is equal to area of the base times the height of the prism. And that formula will work for any prism that you have. Let's work through some examples. So example 1, name each of the following prisms and determine their volume. So we know this is a prism because we have two identical faces and one on the back here that are identical and parallel to each other. So to determine what type of a prism it is, we need to look at the base. As you can see here, the base of the shape is a rectangle because none of these sides are the same. So we know it's a rectangle-based prism. Now to find the volume, we use our equation from before. So a volume of a prism is equal to the area of the base times the height of the prism. So in this case, the formula for the area of the base would be whatever the formula is for a rectangle's area, which we know is actually length times width. And then the height of the prism we know is 10 centimeters, so we'll plug that in. So now our length is 6 centimeters and our width is 8 centimeters. And if you do the multiplication, you should get 480 centimeters cubed. It's important to remember that for volume, the final units are always going to be cubed. Area, it's squared. Volume, it's cubed. And we'll end with the concluding statement. Therefore, the volume of this rectangle-based prism is 480 centimeters cubed. In order to remember this formula, look at it as follows. So the base, the area of the base times the height, we know is the volume of a prism. So think about it as a bunch of these bases stacked on top of each other. And how many do we stack on top of each other? Enough to fill the height of the prism. And that is why the formula is area of the base times the height. Let's work on one final example. So Petro-Canada stores its supply of gasoline in gigantic cylinders. One of these cylinders is 20 meters tall and has a radius of 10 meters. If gasoline costs $1.05 per liter and Petro-Canada has 3 tanks in one location, what is the value of the gasoline they are storing? So in this problem, we essentially need to find the volume of one of the tanks and then multiply it by 3. So the first thing you should always do with these board problems is draw out the 3D shape and label it with the known values. So we know that the radius of this cylinder is 10 meters and we know that the height is 20 meters. So now to calculate its volume, we know that volume of a prism or a cylinder is equal to the area of the base times the height of the prism. In this case, our base is our circle, and the area of the circle is calculated as pi r squared. And then the height of the prism we know is 20 meters, so we'll plug that in. Now, let's plug in our value of our radius. So 10 meters. And now if we multiply this all together and round to 2 decimal points, we get 314.16. And then we just have to multiply it by 20 to get our final answer. And that gives us our final answer of 6,283.20 meters cubed. Now to figure out our final answer, so how much gasoline can we store in all 3 tanks, we take the value that we found for 1 tank and multiply it by 3. So our total volume is equal to 3 times the volume of 1 tank. So 3 times that 6,283.20 meters cubed that we just found, and we get our total answer to be 18,849.60 meters cubed. Now the final part of the question is to convert that into liters. So it says here 1 meter cubed is equal to 1,000 liters. So we know that 1 meter cubed is equal to 1,000 liters. So to convert this into liters, we simply multiply this by 1,000. So 18,849.60 meters cubed times 1,000 liters is equal to 18,849,600 liters. Finally, we need to convert that into a price because they ask us in the question, what is the value of gasoline they're storing? So we know that 1 liter costs $1.05, so we just have to multiply this value by $1.05. So times $1.05 is equal to the following amount of money. So again, let's make sure our steps are clear. First, we found the volume of 1 cylinder, then we found the total volume, 3 cylinders, then we converted that into liters so that we could find the price because we were given the price in a value per liter. And our final answer is listed right here as to how much the entire amount of gasoline will cost.